welcome to episode 691 of Good Luck High Five.
You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Whether you are, like me, caught off guard because you were considering your next blood donation appointment, or you haven't donated blood before, we're here for you.
Yeah.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And I'm a third host, Tyler.
Y'all ever just sit around thinking for a second, wait a second, can I donate blood again yet? I was just in the middle of that thought as Maria started the podcast.
Yeah, well, that's on her.
And I was counting in my head, and it got me.
Yeah.
It got me good.
I sit around thinking about drinking blood because I'm a vampire.
Oh,
because you're
and
married
it's
to
Edgar.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think about
Think about it a lot. The same way humans think about a blueberry muffin in the morning.
I
think about a nice O negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not being a vampire,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Don't know what
And
you
I also
mean.
don't really think about blueberry
You
muffins,
think about
but-
your green slurry.
Yeah, I think about a green slurry.
Tyler loves a green slurry.
I do.
A green slush. Slushy. Hey, everybody. On this week's episode, we are going back to school to talk about the Strixhaven pre-release that happened last weekend.
Ew.
Yeah. Maria has played some online in
Yes.
the early access. Tyler
Yes.
and I played in person.
Yeah.
And we've got the goods. And by the goods, I mean stories.
We also have the bads in some cases, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And by the bads, we also mean stories.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Getting you ready for the release on Arena. It's coming out on Arena this week, and on Friday is the official release of Secrets of Strixhaven, available in your friendly local game store for purchase. Just quick note before we dive into it, how did everyone like the pre-release? Did you think it was fun? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
Oh my gosh.
1 being Spider-Man, how did you like the
Wow.
pre-release?
8.
8 from Megan.
Pretty high. I would put it pretty high.
Yeah, I would put it high. Well, I'll say I was only able to stay for the first round, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I can give it a full 8 just because I wasn't able to fully participate. But I was excited to build the deck, and I've got a great story for my
you do.
one and only round.
Ooh.
I got a great story. I'll just
Looking
tease it
forward
with
to
that.
it.
But yeah, that's so I'll give it a 6.5.
6.5 for
Oh.
Tyler, and I'm going to give it a resounding 10. I had the most fun, I think, that I've ever had in a
your
pre-release.
online
Yeah, and
pre-release
you were
experience.
not
I was,
even in person.
I was popping off virtually popping off because y'all will get into it, and you can even watch me
Nothing
do
like
it.
virtually popping.
Yeah.
You know what they say?
Yeah.
You know what they say?
You gonna pop? You better pop virtually.
Once you virtually pop, you
God.
can't stop.
I don't know if I like this.
I agree. Do you know what, Tyler? Actually, having said several of the
Regrets.
things, I agree with you.
Yeah, great.
Before we dive into the ep, let's thank some very important people for us, some VIPs, if you will.
Yes, thank you first and foremost to the patrons of this show.
Yes.
You keep these people here and this show happening. Got there, Megan.
Very important patrons. Patreon.com/GLHF Magic. You can become one for as little as $2 a month, all the way up to $20. Gets you longer episodes. You get access to our Discord server, early episode releases, and so much more. And we have some very important patrons to celebrate this week.
Yes, thank you to new patron Lewis.
Yay, Lewis!
Yeah, bravo.
Lewis, you're not leaving us in the Clark with this donation.
Was Clark
Dark.
The Dark.
Yes,
Oh,
it
okay.
was.
Sorry.
Yeah.
When you said it, I thought you were talking about. I put in lurch in there, so like leaving in the lurch.
yeah,
but that makes a lot of
In the
sense.
Cl- in the Clark.
No, that
in
makes
the
a lot more
Clark.
sense.
Hey, Lewis, here's some Huey Lewis in the news for you. You're great.
Yeah, yeah.
Lou, glad you're one of us.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
If you go by Lou for short, and if you don't, I'm so sorry. But thank you for your patronage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well to Leon.
Yay, Leon! Hey, Leon, I feel like you're a patron that we can really all lean on in times of hardship. Thank you.
Leon, I would like to put up your names in bright lights, perhaps neon lights.
Leon lights?
Leon lights.
Leon, you are the pride of this podcast and the rock that keeps us stable. Pride Rock, Lion.
Leon.
Leon. Nailed it. I am
Once again.
so here.
Once again,
so
that was a pun that worked.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tyler.
Technically.
I think we all agree that was a pun that worked.
I believe these are 2 new producers joining us as well.
Wow.
So
Thank you. Extra, yeah.
You get
Incredible.
access to longer episodes of Good Luck High Five every single week, which is really, really awesome. And if you subscribe at a year, you can pay the whole cost. You get a 15% discount, which one of these 2 did. So rats off to you. My hat was a rat. Was a rat.
Yeah, I got that now.
And then I tipped it to you.
Yeah.
That's very
Is it
Muppets Christmas Carol of
Yeah,
you.
it actually
Thank
is.
you.
Oh, that's so true.
Highest compliment I can receive.
That's it. Yeah, also true. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Secrets of Strixhaven pre-release, friends.
Yeah.
All right, we have varying grades: 8, 6.5, my 10.
Yep.
But all above the mean.
That's
Yes.
true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very good overall. What were your initial thoughts playing the pre-release? So we'll go around the horn. Tyler, you played 1 round, so yours is worth your opinion's worth the least.
Okay, yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually probably true. So I'll take it. I'll take
But
it.
here in the early days of the format, it's crucial to kind of get a feel for it. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I am excited for the format. It seems very sweet. It seems like there's a lot of fun, like weird, strange cards that will, like not be, obvious to play with immediately. And it also seems like there's just some really cool, as we've said before, the prepared mechanic just has me really excited to
It's excellent.
to sit down and play with. And I was happy with my deck. I built a Witherbloom deck. I'll tell a little story at the beginning. This was one of the pre-releases. Avatar was like this too, where they had seeded pre-release
yes.
kits. So when you sat down, you knew your pack had like Prismari on it, or it had Quandrix on it, and you knew that you were going to get one full pack that was specifically cards from that school. Yeah. And so, so I sat down, and there was a no. This was good. This is all really good. The bad part comes later. This is all great. I sat down, and there was someone kind of like not directly across from me, but to the left,
kitty corner.
Yeah, kitty corner, if you will.
I love kitty corner.
Same.
I know.
Same.
What about people who say catty corner though?
No, I don't like that.
Those people can.
Hate that.
Yeah, those people can.
Those are the 2 extremes of my feelings. Kitty corner to catty corner.
Yes. Yes. But how do you feel about Duck Duck Grey Duck, Megan? Being a Texas native. I think.
I've been here long enough that I've just been like, I've arrived at fine.
For anyone who doesn't know, in Minnesota, we play Duck Duck Grey Duck instead of Duck Duck Goose.
Like, you weirdos are going to
for no real
reason. Yeah. Anyway,
so kitty corner, if you will. This person was at their first pre-release, and they were like, I brought like me and like a couple of my friends, and we've been playing Commander some, and we just were all decided to come to the pre-release together. And they were so jazzed up, and it was really fun to be around them and them talking about it. And they were like, I really want to be Witherbloom. That's like who I want to be. And I was like, well, great. Like, I hope that you get that pack. And so, things got passed around, and I ended up with Witherbloom, and I can't remember I think they had Quandrix the other day. And they were like, oh, well, they didn't say anything, but I was like, hey, would you like this? Because I just was like, you should.
Yeah.
That's your free. They were so excited to be there. So I gave that to them. So I ended up with Quandrix, which was fine. And then I went over and sat Megan, once we got started building, you can go sit wherever you want. And I went and sat over by Rob and Eric, and Megan were there. And so I went and sat by them, and I was just telling the story. And then Megan had Witherbloom, and she gave it to me, which was the color I wanted as well. And
wow.
So that was very kind of Megan as well. So
truly a trading card
which
game.
was my 4th trade of the day.
It was, yeah. Megan had also traded a bunch, yeah. So it was. I like it when that happens, because it's like a fun, it shows the community in action, usually at its best in my experience. So I liked that. So then we built the decks. I was happy with my deck. I can talk a little bit about what was in it. I had a Witherbloom deck, as you might expect. I didn't splash anything. I just was playing straight up green-black.
Well, before you get into it, I do want to say your story about the trades and everybody cooperating and everything. You were playing at Lodestone Coffee and Games.
Yes, we were. Thank you.
Out in Minnetonka, Minnesota. We got to take a hot second to give them a shout out.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because as we've said before, the atmosphere there is above average by a lot.
Yes.
And when you go there, you can. in my experience, you can count on feeling welcome, and you can count on just having a good vibe while you're there. Which is huge.
100%.
Yeah.
It's my favorite game store in the area. So if you're ever around, we encourage you to go check out Lodestone Coffee and Games. I was talking to somebody. I was actually in Washington, D.C. over this weekend, and I was talking to someone who said, "Oh my gosh, you're from Minneapolis. That place has so many amazing game stores." And I was like, "You're right.
It's true.
Per capita, we have just an incredible number for our city size." And I was like, "But the best one is Lodestone Coffee and Games in Minnetonka. Check it out if you're ever around." All right, Tyler, tell me about your deck.
All right. So like I said, playing green black, and I was feeling great. I had a ton of removal. I had 2 of the Witherbloom charms, which is green black for an instant. Choose one. You may sacrifice a permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards, or you gain 5 life, or destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. So just like a really flexible card that's good early to destroy some, like a creature that you need to destroy, or like if you need to sacrifice one of your pests that you have running around, you can draw 2 cards later on in the game, and that's good too. I had End of the Hunt, 1 black for a sorcery. Target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker they control with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. So another, card that's just good removal. And then I also had 3 copies of Wander Off, which is 3 and a black for an instant, exile target creature. So I was feeling like, all right, I've got good removal.
Yeah.
And then also my rares were good. I had 2 copies of Vastland Scavenger, which is 1 green for a 4/4 bear druid with Death Touch. This creature enters prepared, and its prepare spell is Bind to Life, 4 and a green for an instant, mill 7 cards, then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, which, 3 mana, 4/4 Death Touch, already just like good card, you would play it. And then it has a, now could you fail to find? Yes, but like very good chance you mill 7 cards that you're going to get a creature there. So it's got like a creature stapled to it, like another creature. So that's great. Also had Moseo Vane's Nudine, which is 2 and a black for a 2/1 flying. When it enters, you make a 1/1 pest. And then it also has Infusion. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. So again, I had a fair amount of life gain, and that's a card you can just start recurring things. It doesn't stop there with my 3 drops.
Keeps
even.
on rolling.
Whoa.
I also have Grave Researcher, 2 and a black for a 3/3 Troll Warlock. Beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Then if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, this creature becomes prepared, and the prepare spell is Reanimate. So you can put creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That's anyone's graveyard.
Wow.
And then you lose life equal to that card's mana value. So, just
Reanimate.
like very strong. That I'll mention 2 more rares. Slumbering Trudge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
X and a green for a 6/6. This creature enters with a number of stun counters on it equal to 3 minus X. If it entered with a stun counter on it, tap it. So it's basically like a 3 and a green for a 6/6 that's untapped and normal, but you could play it earlier than that, and it'll just kind of have suspend.
Card is nasty.
Yeah, definitely nasty. Just like great stats. And I had the Dawning Archaic, which is 10 mana for a legendary creature Avatar 7/7, and it costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard, which in this set you're likely to have a number of. That also has Reach, and it reads, when the Dawning Archaic attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put in the graveyard, exile it instead. So just, I don't think that card's like amazing in a deck that hasn't been built around it, but it's like just a solid, like strong card. So I was feeling really good.
Oh, if I open this pool, Tyler.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was
It'd be my birthday.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is going to be good. So that's the end of the good parts of the day.
All right.
Well, I say that.
Let's
I'm saying that a little tongue in cheek because this is actually a great
sapped.
story, and I really wasn't. I could have been if I was playing on Arena, as I've talked about in the past, where I'm, where my soul is like a little crumpled heap, at the foot of my bed when I'm playing, like with just. I wish that.
Bad.
Yeah, it is. It's like horrible. I don't know why I do it, but I'm joking a little bit. But anyway, I've talked about how it's way easier to get tilted when you're playing Arena for me than it is when you're playing in person. So this was on Arena, especially if I was like playing for some, like let's say I was in like like a Arena Open or something. Yeah, exactly. I might have gotten a little tilted at this.
Yeah.
So I'm playing an opponent that's playing primarily a Prismari, but they also have a green splash. So game is going pretty normally. They don't have like a super fast start. Like we're kind of going back and forth. I drew a couple of my rares. I was feeling good. have a good board. They have one creature in play, and I've just attacked them for like almost lethal. They had to block. They had a 1/4. They had that the Prismari mascot, the like little hummingbird thing.
Elemental mascot.
Yeah,
yes.
The 1/4, I believe it is,
It's a 1/4,
and it gets +1/+1 for each spell. Yeah, +1/+0 for each spell you cast, and then it has and then you can cast a card from exile a card and cast it from the top of your library. I'm just remembering this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Bear with me if I'm a little off, but
mana value
if it's
5
mana
or
value,
greater.
yeah. So it has So anyway, they have that. That's the one creature they have. So I've attacked with almost everything because then they had to block one of my creatures. They had to do a couple chumps, and at the end of it, they have this 1/4, and they're down to 1 life. And I'm at 14. And I have a flying. I've just played that Moseo card I just talked about. So I have a 2/1 flyer and a 1/1 pest. Like,
Okay.
I have 2 blockers.
I'm feeling good if I'm you.
Yeah, exactly. I also was feeling good. And then my opponent's like, all right, I'm gonna, and he starts pulling out like counters and stuff. I'm like, what's going on here? He's got this 1/4. First off, he plays the Prismari Charm to bounce my 2/1, my flyer. So now he's got a 1/4 that's turned into a 2/4. So he's done that.
You still have your 1/1 pest.
I still have my 1/1 pest, but this creature has flying. So at that point, it's not going to affect what happens.
Yeah.
So my 2/1 has gotten bounced. So they've got a 1/4. Then they play a Monstrous Rage. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
So now that's, plus basically like they're giving, it's getting +2/+0 from the spell, and then a +1/+1 from the roll, from the token, the roll. What is it called? The roll token, is that right?
Oh, yes. The monstrous
roll token, I think.
Yeah,
And
so this is from the
I was going to say, I kind of want to look up the Mystical Archive.
Yes,
Mystical Archive.
And this is the great part about what happened to me is that all the cards that were played to kill me, except for the creatures, were Mystical Archive cards.
That's
Incredible.
wild.
So they play Monstrous Rage, and I'm like, oh, okay. Still, I'm like, why are they? I'm like getting worried now because they're like really thinking about this, and it's probably not because they're gonna hit me for like 7. Like they've probably got something that's at least very close to lethal, if not. And I'm like, what is about to happen to me? So they play that. So they've given it +3/+1 essentially, and then another +1/+0.
Yep.
So now it's up to, I believe, like a 6. Let's see. Yeah, it's up to a 6 something, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, toughness
Or
do
no,
not
7.
matter.
I think 7. Yeah, so toughness doesn't matter. That's right.
1, 2,
1,
3, 4,
2,
5, 6.
I think it's 1, 2 from the initial spell, then maybe you're right. 4 from Monstrous Rage. I think that's right. Yeah, so 6. So then they play Bulk Up. So another +1/+0 happens because of the trigger.
I was gonna say,
And then Bulk Up
Let's look.
Bulk Up reads double target creature's power. So they had 14 damage then at that point.
Incredible.
No way.
Yep. And that is once again a Mystical Archives card.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
So, double target creature's power until end of turn. And I was like, well, sure enough, you did kill me. And I got to say, hats off to you because I thought I was winning that game.
Rats
off to you. Yeah.
Rats off.
So
to
I'm like,
them.
well, I'm going to, I know this is a possibility now, I'm going to play this second game, like a little bit careful, like I'm not going to, I'm not a believer in just like, oh my gosh, now I got to play around it to the extent that I'm just not going to do some of the normal things I would do. Cause that's how you really lose a game is if you have some card combination in your head,
Right,
you're like,
exactly.
I'm going to not lose to this. Well, guess what? You're going to lose to whatever, just random stuff that
You
they play.
can't protect a loss, as my dad would say as a hockey coach.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So I'm playing the second game again. I go first in both these games. By the way, I won the die roll, and then I'm going first the second time. Just because I lost. So I'm playing again. Just have a pretty decent hand. Like I had some early removal. I've had like some of my rares. I've built a nice board, and I am also like I didn't get off to a blistering fast start, but I played that Teacher's Pest card like on turn 2, and so I was attacking with that like a bunch of times, and they hadn't played hardly anything. They'd played like just like a few creatures. They played that. What is the Converge card that's red? The red creature. It's like a 2/2, but it gets +1/+1 counters for each color of mana that you play for it. Yeah, it doesn't.
It was a red Converge card.
Red Converge card. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's okay. But anyway, they'd played that, and I removed it.
It was a 2/2?
Yes, I believe so.
Sorry,
It's got those 2 Brid mana. It's this one right here.
Okay, Magma Blood Archaic.
Yeah.
2/2 Trample Reach. Wow. That's real. Enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn for each color of mana spent to cast that spell.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty good.
So they played that as a 5/5 because they had green, red, and blue mana, and
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I'm not gonna let them like untap with that. So I played a creature, I played a spell to remove it, and I did. And so I'm feeling great. I'm at this point, I'm at 27 life, and I think they're at like 10 or something like that.
Unreal.
And they've got a 2/2 in play, a 2/2 with no evasion. It's that card again. I don't remember, but it's a Prismari card, and it adds like blue-red mana at the beginning of your. That can only be cast on spent on instants or sorceries.
This card is
it is
so good.
But it was not good in the situation they were in my opinion.
Abstract Paint Mage.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, but for me, it looked like it was just a 2/2. I felt like I was in again I felt like I was even farther ahead than I was in the first game because I was like, well, they killed me from 14, but 27,
Impossible.
and I had one of my 4/4 bear death touch blockers. I wasn't even attacking with everything. I was just like, I'm going to be like safe, but I'm not going to just sit. I'm not going to sit and hold up removal trying to stop something from happening that seems absurd.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I passed to them. And again, they kind of like start to think, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are you joking right now? And they start playing cards. And
don't they always?
That's how it always go, don't it?
So I remember I told you they were splashing green. So they're mostly a blue-red deck, and they're splashing green. They did have that X blue-green draw X cards, and then you can put a permanent value, mana value X or less from your hand into the battlefield. They had that. They played that the first game, and that's like a solid card, or even very good, especially in sealed. So, but they are splashing green. So, and I found out one of the other green cards they splashed during this turn.
I hope it's Giant Growth.
You know what? It was.
Oh, and, Tyler, your iconic card of all time.
Well, no, my iconic card of all time is whatever that squirrel.
Oh, the squirrel
one. +7/+7.
Yeah.
But it's like a worse Giant Growth, know. But, anyway, so they start playing cards. Turns out they've got 2 Monstrous Rages. They've got both of those in their hands. They also played the Giant Growth. I'm like, okay. Then they play again, Bulk Up. And they dealt me like 32 damage, which was just enough to go through the 4/4 because they got trampled from the monstrous range. Yeah. So they dealt me, I had 31 effective life because I had about 20, I think I had 27 life in the 4/4. They dealt me 32 damage out of nowhere.
Incredible.
I love this.
Honestly,
and again,
good job.
You know
exactly.
what?
Yeah, I can't even complain because
you can't be mad.
Like
that's ridiculous.
I don't look back and wish that I'd done anything differently other than. And I did ask them. I was like, "How many bulk ups did you have?" And they were like, "I just had the one." So
incredible.
It was, it was. I had to tip my hat to them. And I said to the person whose name I didn't get, I was like, "I'm going to talk about this. I'm on a podcast. I'm going to talk about this. So if you're interested, I'm definitely going to." Put my hats off to you because it is. I do think there is like a. I'm not sure if you always want to splash green for it, but Giant Growth is a real card, and there's one other card that gives like. I can't remember what it is. There's one other really good green trick that's in the Mystical Archive sheet, and so. I think this deck is like quasi real. Like I don't think it's like a deck you should. It's not going to have like a great win percentage, but I think it is a deck.
Infect?
Well, no, I just mean like like crazy Prismari like prowess like tricks deck. Like I think the straight up Prismari version is almost certainly going to have a better win rate than trying to splash green into it. But but nonetheless, it was sick when it happened.
You got one shotted twice.
I did out of 2 games.
That's
I was saying this.
There.
Yeah, well, sure, it is. And I was saying this to you both earlier. I don't think I've ever been farther ahead in any 2 games that I lost in my life where I didn't have some kind of like massive misplay, and they happen to happen back to back in the same match. So I gotta tip my hat to that person who saw the deck they wanted to build and built it, and I don't know what happened for the rest of the day. I was like, I hope the rest of your day is exactly like this, and you just like
pans out, man.
Railroad everyone with these combos, but it happened to me. So yeah, my hats.
I also want to talk about the art on the Secret Lair.
I know,
or the
so
Mystical
good.
Archive bulk up.
Yeah, that bulk up is so good.
I want to talk about the art for Giant Growth.
Yeah, which is
also so good.
The Mystical Archive, because this scroll is going.
It really is. And it's doing that because it just grew.
Yes, and it doesn't understand.
Yeah, it is like, what?
It is terrified.
My life is. Can I still climb my tree that is my home?
I'm 12 times bigger than my nuts.
Which I
we know.
Which I have to say, whatever way you want to take it is
Thank
probably
you.
at the very minimum the amount bigger that you want to be, quite honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Quite
that's
honestly,
a great point.
better that than some alternatives.
the
You know
other
what I
way-
mean?
than the other way around.
Yeah, full agreement
Yes,
with that.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love this art.
I really,
So funny.
I know. Some of these, like, I'm in love with, of course, some of these mystical archives.
Oh, yeah.
Once
Yeah, yeah.
again.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I also really love the new Force of Will. I think
Yes.
it's
Oh, I wanna see that one.
gorgeous. I think that the smallpox is really cool.
Yes.
I also really like the smallpox
that
art.
is
I really like the zombify art. I love the abrade art. I'm just like looking
There's
at the
so
sheet of that.
many of
There's
them.
so many.
They're
of
all
them.
great.
Yeah,
I'm
they
happy
really
they
are.
brought this mystical archive back.
Yeah.
Same.
Truthfully, they're gorge.
Yeah, and I look forward to. I'm hoping that some of these artists are in
Vegas.
because I
Yeah.
would love
Oh, I know. There
to
are
go
s-
pick up some prints or
Yes.
some,
Yeah.
some other stuff with this art on it because it's really really excellent.
And they did a great job of like, there is like sometimes in certain sets, they're just like, yeah, the art styles are going to be quite different, like, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
but on this bonus sheet, they did a great job of like,
They're in harmony.
They are in harmony with one another.
Yes.
But they are also like, you can see the individual artist's flair in them as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Like it's like you look at these and they all feel of a piece, but like also
Yeah.
if you look deeper, there's like, oh yeah, each one of them has a lot of unique flair to it.
They're all so striking. Oh, this crackle with power.
I know. And
Come on.
And I mean the Monstrous Rage, like
Yeah.
it's like
Also the
it's-
Monstrous
it's
Rage, really
glorified,
good.
but,
Beautiful.
like, yeah.
How can you even pick a favorite? I'm
Yeah.
trying to
I
like
don't
look
think
at
you
these and
can.
pick a favorite, but I just
I know.
I'm
I was saying, Maria,
stumped.
this abrade feels very you.
I
Yeah.
do love
like
the
very
braid.
tarot
Very
coded, I think.
regal.
Yes,
Yes.
very
The Queen of
regal.
Wands
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
I want to say. I am also a fan of that Zombify though. It is.
Oh, I mean, the zombify is really good.
Yeah.
Really,
very,
again,
very cool.
That is one of the very like style. It's very, very stylistic.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
that's
Vegas,
excellent.
everyone, that's coming up next weekend.
Oh,
Do you need to hear that, Megan?
Well, I will say,
okay,
just to be clear, it's not like the very next
Like
Not
weekend.
this
Not
weekend,
this
it's
weekend,
next
but yeah,
weekend.
because sometimes people
No,
say that differently. But yes, it's the first weekend of May.
I
Those
had
are
a
the people who
meeting
say catty
with
corn.
one of our bosses today, Greg.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he was like, "See you next week," and I was like, "Ah!"
Yeah, you're
Yes.
like, oh, yeah, that is
Yep,
happening.
that is true. Megan and I are going to be there, everybody.
Yes, we are.
And we want to meet you. We have a meet and greet that's going to happen at 5 p.m. on Friday in Creator Central.
Yes.
Come over and say hi to us.
come by. We would love to. We would love to see you.
I think a little birdie tells me we're going to have some packs to give away.
Oh.
We're going to have some stickers to give away.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to have some high fives to give away.
Oh, less excited about that, but still cool.
That's the worst of the three options.
Tyler, get it together.
Depending on who you are. I mean, some people might have a real thing for high fives,
But yeah, that's where we're going to be, and we would love to meet you. So this is just a shout out for one final time. Come and say hi to us. 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Creator Central on Friday. We're going to be there, and we would love to say hi to you, give you some free stuff, and just hang out for a moment. Amidst the chaos that is MagicCon Vegas. I am curious to see if it'll be the biggest of all time. I don't know.
There's definitely a chance.
There is a very good chance.
There's
I would
a
say.
decent. chance.
Yes. All right. So that's Tyler's deck and stories of woe.
Yep. all right.
Never was there a greater story of more woe than this of Tyler and his Witherbloom deck. Oh no.
Nice. All right. I was wondering how you're going to pull it together.
William
but
Shakespeare.
you really did. Yep.
Megan, what was your experience like?
So, as I said, I traded 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I originally I got Witherbloom.
Yeah.
And then the person across from me preferred it to, what did they have? Lorehold.
Yep.
And then Rob was next to me and he really wanted Lorehold.
Yeah.
So then I got Silver Quill, which Rob had. And then the person kitty corner from me really wanted Silver Quill and they
love
had
this.
Witherbloom.
And so you
I
end
got
up back
Witherbloom
with
again.
Witherbloom
Yep.
briefly.
And then I thought that was my day was going to end up. And then Tyler came and sat down and told me that story. And I was like, we can just trade. Because at
Wow.
this point, I traded through almost all of them except for Prismari.
That's true.
Yeah.
Almost got them all.
Yeah.
Happy to have ended up in Quandrix.
Yep.
Yeah.
I truly traded so I traded so quickly and so easily with everybody because I felt fine with
Just
whatever
have to
I
wait
got.
for the universe to hand you whatever
Exactly.
was meant to
I'm
be.
truly okay with whatever I end up with.
Yeah.
So without reservation, I will trade with people. I ended up in Quandrix, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I had two fractal mascots. Let me tell you, this is the 6/6 elk for 6 with trample, and when it enters, you tap something and put a stun counter on it. Tap a creature, put a stun counter on it.
Quandrix
2 of them
is the beatdown. They can give you. They serve in the beats.
Yeah. So I will.
It's the only thing on the menu.
I'm going to say this is that the thing about my pool is I looked at it and I was like, I have one piece of hard removal, and it is green black.
Potentially a problem.
So I splashed black.
Which
That's good.
It was fine. And it did end up, right, like every time that I drew the card, I had the lands to cast it at some point or another.
Yeah.
Like every time I drew it, I was able to cast it. It was
Titan's Grave.
But I was worried about it because obviously I was like, it's
if
sealed.
And someone might have a couple bombs.
When you look at a seal pool, no removal.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it doesn't matter. Did not matter because in Quandrix, I was just playing creatures that were better than theirs constantly.
Makes sense.
I was able to, there were a couple of times when it was just like, I did have some tempo. I had some bounce.
Yeah.
Like a couple of the one in a blue bounce spell, the one that puts it, then the 4 mana one that puts it on top or bottom. I had enough bounce that it was just kind of like, if you're not really accelerating and you don't have a lot of mana available, it didn't feel like a big problem to not be able to move the thing. It felt totally fine to just tempo them.
Nice.
And then play something else myself because I was doing some mana ramping. I was the person doing that. I had 2 Noxious Newts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Noxious Newt, for your mana ramping.
I would definitely, that would have been one thing I would have liked in my pool is one or 2 of them because I had some expensive spells and not much ramp.
Very, 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 very good. Let's see. I had Proctor's Gaze.
Nice.
Which is the bounce spell that also goes and gets you a land and puts it into play tapped.
Which is pretty sweet.
Just like my dream card.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe that they've never really printed this particular effect before, which is these 2 things stapled together of bounce a thing and mana ramp.
Yeah.
And you know what? I feel like they don't do it because it seems pretty rude.
Proctor's Gaze is also my favorite bar.
I knew it was going to be... I felt it in my soul. The flavor of joke that was coming.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a Fractal Tender. This is 3 green blue for a 3/3 with Ward 2 and Increment. And at the beginning of each end step, if you put a counter on this creature this turn, create an 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put 3+1/+1 counters on it.
Nice.
I never got to make that because they killed it immediately.
Yeah, fair enough.
Obviously, it draws the removal.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Yep. I had a Berta Wise Extrapolator. This card, quite good, obviously.
Frog in.
2 green blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, Frog Druid with Increment, which again, Increment is the Quandrix mechanic, where when you cast a spell, if the amount of mana you spent to cast it is greater than the creature's power or toughness, you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature.
Nice.
Whenever
nice.
1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Berta, add 1 mana of any color. And X tap, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put X +1/+1 counters on it.
Nice.
So you can, like, at the very least, you can just like make that mana and then tap Berta to make a fractal.
Yeah, totally.
Make a 1/1.
Yeah.
Just very, very good.
Yeah.
I also had a Vastlin Scavenger. The one time that I cast Bind to Life, I got the elk.
Nice.
I got the 6/6 elk, and you're like, this is a very good thing to do with this.
Definitely a good thing to do with that.
This is a good thing to do with this. Let's see. I had Terrafractal, which this card is just
the
so
flyer,
good.
yeah.
Yes.
And so delightful too.
Yeah. Green blue X for a 1/0 creature dinosaur fractal. Flying. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. And when this creature enters, you gain 2 life. Let me tell you, every time I cast it, it was enormous.
Yeah.
One time it was a 7/6.
Yeah.
Another time it was a 6/5.
This is why bounce is so good, I want to say, in this format.
Yeah.
Like, these chonkers, you got to get them out of here.
Big guy.
And
And
not
that's
every
not
color
even
is...
mentioning the tokens. There's so many tokens.
Oh,
right
yes,
now,
and
which
a lot of
Exactly.
tokens
Yeah.
in it. Well, I was playing Prismari, spoiler alert, but there ain't no way you're killing a 7/6 flyer in blue-red other than bouncing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fair.
I had 2 copies of Cuboid Colony, which is the cube of bees. Bee cube. It's a 1/1 flying trample flash with Increment. Let me tell you, people kill that first all the time
absolutely.
too, because otherwise it becomes a problem.
Becomes a problem.
Yeah, there were just like so many. I also had a Slumbering Trudge, which is the rare. One card that I want to call out as being very good as an uncommon was Emil Vastelin's Roamer. This is 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature elf druid. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have trample. Actually quite good.
Solid.
And 4 and a green, tap, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named lands you control.
Yeah, kind of a cool build around.
So mine was just like, and because I was playing 2 different tap lands to help with my mana base.
Sometimes they were 4/4.
Yeah, I regularly made 3/3s.
Yeah.
And one time made a 4/4.
Nice.
This card was just very good. People had to kill it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would just be like, well, did I not have anything else to do with my mana?
Yeah.
Make a 4/4.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like
Not
pretty
bad.
dang good thing to do with
Yeah.
it.
You're not wrong.
What was your ending record, Megan?
I went 2-1.
Nice.
So my first round, I don't remember which. I wanted to say that my opponent first round was Witherbloom. And I got really choked on mana game 1, but then they flooded really badly. And I had enough time to come back.
Nice.
So, and then the second game was just like, I just tempoed them hard.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in round 2. They were Silver Quill. And it was just ridiculous. They got a little, they were stopped at 4 mana, which should be pretty fine
decent,
for a while. But they were stopped at 4 long enough that, again, all I was doing was bouncing their stuff. But when you only have 4
when you're not
mana,
hitting your land drops.
Yeah.
oof.
when I bounce your 2-drop, and the only thing that you can do on turn 3
Is
or
play the
4 is
2-drop
like
again.
just play that 2-drop and not play something
Yeah,
else.
that's
That
not-
is exceptionally bad.
It's not good.
I will say that one went to 3 games, and our like the first and third were I just templed them really hard.
Sure.
Game 2 was really, really good.
Yeah.
They like aggroed me pretty hard out the gates. They had a lot of removal. We got to a point where it looked like maybe I was going to deck before it, like the game ended any other way.
I
Cool.
decked
Oh, that's
myself.
cool.
Yeah.
And they were able to just finish me off at the very end with a creature that like pinged me for 1 when it attacked.
Sure.
And then also like a sorcery that made me sacrifice a creature and pinged me for 1. So I was at 2 and was
they
like
just happen to have
I was
enough
like holding
direct
on.
damage kind of spells that they could do.
And I had like technically probably kind of turned the corner on the game, but my life total was so low
that they
were
had
trying
just
to put
enough.
together
Yeah,
the win.
yeah.
And it was very good.
No, that does sound
And in
good.
round 3, I simply got out Quandrixed. Like
That's funny.
my opponent was in Quandrix, and their deck was simply better than mine.
Quandrixer.
Like by quite a bit. They had Jadzi, which has the prepare spell on Jadzi is busted.
Yeah, it is.
It is
so many
very,
fractals.
very good. They had the perfect, like their deck was perfect.
Megan, I was going to ask if you had played with Tam Observant Sequencer.
I have not yet played with Tam Observant Sequencer.
Because-
Let me tell you, it is high on my list of things that I want to do, Maria.
This is 2 green blue for a 4/3 rare landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, Tam becomes prepared, and the prepared spell is Deep Sight for a green and a blue. You draw a card and gain 1 life.
Don't I know it?
I'll only say it is an uncommon, not a rare.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I do think I will say it. I'm not saying it's not good. I think there are decks that'll be good. And I do think it's worse than what's
Tachova.
Tachova.
Yeah,
well,
because
yeah,
it's free,
Tachova
but-
is just,
which
it
is
just
also
happened.
which is also an uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah. But, if you can't, this is Tachova at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
And
It's-
hey, I am happy to have Tachova
Yeah,
at home.
totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My opponent, like I said, they had Jadzi, they had Pensive Professor, which is 1 blue for an 0/2 creature human wizard with increment. And whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, draw a card. It's a rare, of course. They're like I said, like their deck was just, there was nothing to be done about it. We played game 1 and I was like, yeah, like I'm losing this match because your deck is, there's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah.
That's where my lack of hard removal certainly
Yeah.
came into focus. I was like, yep, okay.
Whoops.
It's happening.
It's happening. And here are the bomb rares
Yeah.
that when I cannot deal with them are gonna do me in. But again, I had a very, very good time. I think one of my only concerns was, at least in the games that I played, I was like, oh, the deck that I'm playing, despite the lack of removal, feels too powerful. Like it seems like I was worried about Quandrix being too good, because the fact that like the only thing that I then ran into was a Quandrix deck that was like, I thought mine was quite good, and I ran into one that was like leaps and bounds better than mine.
Yeah.
Yes, this is how I felt too.
Made me feel a little worried.
But I was worried about it in my Prismari deck.
Oh, all right. Well, Maria, let's hear about yours.
Nice transition.
Well, I mean,
very smooth.
It's very funny that we both had this fear because I was like, "Oh no," playing this. So in the Arena Early Access event, you can choose which college you want to have the bonus packs of in your sealed deck, and I didn't really realize that because I was too excited and I just hit go. But as luck would have
Sounds
it.
right.
Prismari chose me. You know
Incredible.
how it be. And my deck was absurd. I had Prismari himself, the Elder Dragon, joining my crew.
Wow.
And I just smashed face. And I was like, uh-oh. So I jumped in the queue again. And I was like, what am I going to play with this time? And I was like, Prismari again. I can't say no. And this time the Prismari gods were like, you love us so much, you shall be rewarded. My deck was even better.
Did they talk to you in that way?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My eyes kind of rolled back in my head. Blood came out of my nose.
Canada?
And,
I mean, if you got a good deck, I guess it was worth it.
Absolutely. They told me in exchange it was 5 years of my life, but I'm going to make that trade.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. I mean, as long as you don't do it too frequently, you're going to be okay.
But once you get a taste of it, you know what I mean?
You can't get fast and loose with that one.
Yeah, you really can't.
It was like the Princess Bride machine, in the tree.
Except you're opting into it. You're like,
you're like, sign me up.
Yes, man, wearing a gray washcloth. Crank me, daddy. That's his outfit.
I know.
Daddy.
You're right, but I just it was more the crank me daddy that I was reacting to. No, I know what his outfit was.
Okay, great. So my second deck, it was absurd. Absolutely absurd. I had 2 copies of my new favorite uncommon, which I am deathly afraid of if I am to see it across me on the battlefield, which is Spectacular Sky Whale. You all play against this card?
I didn't, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, this is a 1/4 for 2 blue-red uncommon flying, and then it has Opus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that this creature gets +3.
Yeah.
+0 until end of turn.
+3 is just
It's a lot.
It's maybe too much. If 5 or more mana was spent, then you put 3 +1/+1 counters on it instead. Right? And I'm telling you,
that's just
there are a lot of expensive Prismari instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
This little whale becomes a 7/10. Like you just blinked and there it is.
Like I was about to say, like you just don't know.
Like you just don't know.
He's so cute too.
He's very
cute.
I had 2 of that friend. I had 2 of the elemental mascot that Tyler was talking about before, which I thought
also very cute.
I would like even more than the whale. Wrong. I like the whale more, but whatever. It's still very good. You all. I know I talked a bad talk about Sonar.
Yeah, not just once, multiple times.
Yeah,
You did.
Hey, we can talk a bad talk about Sonar, but
In that trailer, I was quite annoyed by Sonar, but
Wow.
I take it all back. Sonar is an incredible card.
Would you say that
it seems correct.
you what was his to the what was for,
His line?
would you say that you were saying fortune favors the bold when you were playing your cards?
I would. I did say that for sure. Sonar is the 0/4 for a blue-red, and you all. Okay, when you cast instants or sorcery, you can tap and make a treasure. And then for 5 mana, he has Wild Ride as his sorcery, where you can search your deck for an instant or sorcery and put in your hand. And like, what are you searching for, you might ask, at 5 mana? Well, you've got a lot of good options, quite honestly. There's a great removal spell at 5, which if you want to cast a 5 mana spell, is Stress Stream, 5 damage or something.
Definitely good.
But I feel like the spell most often at that point in the game you're going to want to go get is Visionary's Dance, which is a common, where you make 2 3/3 blue and red elemental creature tokens with flying. And that's going to trigger your Sky Whales. It's going to trigger your elemental mascots, and then you're going to have 6 power and toughness in the air. It's just dumb. Or you could go get Rapturous Moment, which I'm going to read it. I'm so enraptured. I want to read it correctly so I don't misrepresent it here because it just deserves it. Draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. Add blue, blue, red, red, red.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is disgusting.
I mean, yes, that is disgusting.
You're triggering your whales, okay? So they're going nuts.
Yep.
And then you're doing it again
Yep.
with the mana you have left over. You're tapping Sonar to give yourself a treasure so you can cast like something else.
Yep.
So now your whales are like
them whales going nuts.
I think my biggest one, I screenshotted it, was like an 1820 or something like that.
It's pretty big.
And it was counters.
Yeah.
Maria, I just want to point out something out.
Yeah.
That once upon a time, I was the lone card draw person on this podcast.
I know.
Wow.
And I feel like your enthusiasm grows daily.
Well, Megan, I'll have you know that this was a thought that popped in my head when I was playing this deck because I have kind of buried the lead here.
Oh, wow.
I had a mythic in my pool. Emeritus of Ideation.
Yeah.
Do you know what his prepare spell is?
I do.
Oh, I do. Oh, I be knowing what his prepare spell is.
Does it have anything to do with ancestrals or thinking about them?
It is Ancestral Recall, yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And I was like, you can watch a video
Yeah.
of me piloting this deck, by the way, friends, on our YouTube channel. Plug. And
Why was there like a tick when you did that?
because
Like,
it was a wink.
oh, okay. I thought you had like a little. I thought it was like you got. I thought it was
The
that
gods were
same.
talking to me.
No, I thought it was that same Prismari demon that you were making.
Demon.
Well, I'm projecting there, but based on
Okay,
what the
yeah.
conversation that sounded like a demon conversation to me. You know, it's the kind of conversation you have with
Fair
a demon.
play. This is a 5/5 with ward 2. All right. It enters prepared. Okay. It only costs 5 mana. This card, I don't know how. You can watch me, everyone. I have a come to demon moment playing this game.
Yeah, you did.
Playing this deck multiple times in this video.
You did.
I don't know. I literally was sitting there, and to be fair, it was the morning, and I had just drunk an entire highball, which is like 200 milligrams of caffeine, and not
Though
the
to
alcohol
you, that is
drink.
it's
but,
almost like not having any caffeine at all.
well,
to be fair.
that's been true in my life, Tyler. But
Oh,
maybe
sure, but
things are changing.
Oh
for
wow!
me.
All right.
I don't know. We'll
Okay,
see.
I love that. So you're having
after
less
my
highballs.
surgery. Yeah. So.
Nice. Oh yeah, you have said this to me. Okay.
Yeah, so I definitely was feeling the effects, but I cast this, and then I was like, I had an untapped blue from Sonar, my treasure, and I'm like, sacrifice it. Ancestral Recall. The tingle I felt go through my body, it was physical. I felt it in my hands, and I was like, the power! It was like the quickening in Highlander. You know, I was like, I drew 3 cards, and then you can prepare it again.
You really
All you have to
can.
do is exile 8 cards from your graveyard. Doesn't care what kind.
Yeah, it does have to attack as well.
Well, yes, when it attacks. But you will have them.
Yeah.
You're playing instant and sorceries. You're whipping through your deck. Like I said, I decked myself in one of these games because I was going too nuts with this card.
Been there.
I prepared it one game multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
it's not hard.
Yeah.
You all cast Ancestral Recall. Do it.
I cannot believe this.
Yeah.
Maria, there was a time
Yeah.
in my life when you shamed me for casting Ancestral Recall.
How dare you draw 3 cards for 1 mana?
Yep.
How dare you?
I'm just saying, this is how the
was-
tables in my life have turned.
It was you all. It was unbelievable. I can't believe we have a standard environment where we have 2 versions of Ancestral Recall that you can reliably cast.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I'm terrified. The fact that this card has ward 2 is extremely important as
Yeah.
well, because you're so tempted to cast it on 5. You're like, just get it out there. And generally it's going to live and whatever. But if you have a Sonar, you've probably got that treasure laying around anyway. So who cares? I don't know. I was bouncing stuff, playing Run Behind, Prismari Charm. I had 2 of those. I had Molten Core Maestro, which is a lovely card that likes to give you bonuses, +1/+1 counters and stuff for casting instants and sorceries.
Are you sure it likes it? Did you talk to the card? Like it may.
Have you consulted with him?
Yeah.
Like, does it like it?
It told me, yep. It said yes.
I don't believe you.
We have
Sure. Yeah, you're not. I can't say that I'm convinced.
we have Mana War running around in this set in the form of Matter Bending Mage.
Let me tell you, I got Mana Ward.
Yeah. So the bounce is prevalent. Be
Yeah.
prepared. We have wonderful 2-drops in the form of Landscape Painter with its prepared spell being a 5 mana draw 2, which is really great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, I feel bad playing this deck. It was fantastic. I had Resonating Loot, which adds mana for instants and sorceries. Lets you go off really, really fast. It was just like I was living my best life, y'all, and you can witness it live on YouTube on our Good Luck i5 YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Go watch it. You can see me have this Ancestral Recall moment in real time. I don't know what to say. It was the most fun I've ever had a pre-release. It was just I'm just like, this set could be an all-time banger. It really could. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
But I am legitimately worried that some stuff is like too powerful. The same thing Megan felt. So I guess time will tell.
But if everyone thinks that about a different color pair, it might just be that
Maybe
it's
it'll be
balanced.
fine.
Yeah, maybe then we're okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all right.
Because I kind of feel like Witherbloom might be pretty good too.
Wow. Okay.
right.
Wow. Before we move on, we have to say last week, Tyler and Rob
Oh yeah.
made a wager.
Yeah, we did.
And we wanted to say when we stopped recording, we did set the line.
We did. Yes.
So Tyler, will you recap this?
Yeah.
first?
So, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look up
The
what
name
card
of the
is.
card,
'cause
yeah.
it's-
Harsh annotation.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Harsh annotation. Thank you. So it's 1 white for an instant, destroy target creature, or destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying.
Yeah. Okay, so this is an instant removal spell.
Yeah.
And Rob's argument is like, hey, this is cheap.
Yep.
I'm dealing with a mythic or whatever, and it's just like a good mana value exchange for getting rid of their big bomb. They're gonna have is a 1/1 flyer.
Yeah.
And so he thinks play it in your sealed deck more often than
Yeah,
not.
or draft it. I
Or
think
draft
we were
or
mostly
whatever.
talking about
Yeah.
draft. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
And Tyler was like, do not play this. You said on pain of death, I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know if I was
Roll the
threatening
tape.
people with death, but I did definitely say, I think I said my PSA is don't put this in your limited deck.
Let me tell you, having had it cast against me, don't put it in your limited deck.
So
But it was-
in our comments, people are arguing.
Oh, wow.
Some are Team Rob,
Nice.
some
All
are
right,
Team
great.
Tyler.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the line set that we were gonna decide this once
The
and
line
for all?
set was, so Rob gets if it's a C or higher. So like we're gonna go off the 17 lands when they have this, sort of like visual view now that will say for this set, this card is a C. They'll label it in that way.
You mean dead middle, like not
yes.
C plus, like C
Right.
plus, C or higher.
C or
so
higher?
C minus.
Exactly. C
you-
minus,
Okay.
I would win. C or higher, Rob would win.
Okay,
right.
great. And when are we going to make the call on that?
That's a great question. I mean, we could most likely the call will be able to be made within the first like week of the format being out on Arena. Usually at that point, now if it's like really close to the edge of something, then maybe it won't be able to be because like the
we'll
things
wait
can
for it to
move a
settle
little
out.
bit. But like if it's if it's like 3 or 4 percentage points from being one or the other,
Sure.
that probably is not going to move. So.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll have to investigate that. But yeah, usually like even by Thursday, like by this Thursday, so roughly when you're listening to this episode, usually that night 17 lands will do their first like large drop of data, and that's when things get pretty solidified. Not again, things can shift 100%, but I would say most of the time things don't shift that much after that first like Thursday night.
Okay. Great.
Drop of data. So yeah, so I'd say by the next
Next episode,
Monday
we'll check back in.
We'll check back in and see. But yeah, so that's the wager. So
So everyone, get
yeah.
your calls in before then.
Yep.
We didn't
All right.
give any prize for the winner, but the prize is pride.
Yeah, it's a pride prize.
And a crown of laurels.
Oh wow, that does seem like a real prize.
It gives you a 1/1 flyer.
Yeah, there was a card that was very similar to this in Kaldheim called Ravenform that was not an instant. It was 2 and a blue, but it could be foretold and then played for 1 blue mana, and it gave a 1/1 bird with flying. And that card
it was the foretell on it that made it worthwhile.
well, but it was also
It was
not good.
Yeah, it was
like,
not good. And the only thing that
Yeah.
made it playable sometimes was if you were so heavy into foretell.
Yeah, and sure, there was some foretell strategy going on, but I think it had like I want to say like 48% win rate or something like that.
Here's the thing, though. The people who say, hey, I'm playing that card, their argument sounds extremely reasonable, right? You're like, I am paying 2 mana at instant speed to get rid of the best card in their deck, and all they get is a stinky 1/1 flyer. Of course I'm going to make that trade. Now, Tyler, Megan, why? This is
I can tell you
why.
Yeah, I can tell
are
you
against
a
this?
couple of things.
Gavel, gavel, gavel.
Gavel, gavel, gavel. One is
flyer, a lot of card. That's a lot of card.
yeah,
man.
that is a 1/1 flyer is very real. Even if it just chump blocks something and keeps you from getting lethal one turn, like that's like a huge swing in the game. If it gets in for like 4 damage or something like that, that's also a large swing in the game and has to draw a removal spell from you. You know what I mean? Let's say like for worst case scenario, you give them the 1/1 and then it becomes a problem for you and you have to remove it. You don't have any way to block your fires. That's a nightmare, obviously.
Nightmare.
But what we're looking at here is the aggregate. Like, yes, sometimes you are going to remove your opponent's best card and they're going to get a 1/1, and that is going to be good for you.
And
but there are going to be
sometimes
lots of other times when you are going to have the card in your hand and you're not going to want to remove whatever the thing is on the other side of the table. It's
Because
going
the
to be
1/1 flyer is better.
exactly, or it's at least not that much worse, and you don't want to spend a whole card like doing that. So the problem is just that like giving your opponent a 1/1 flyer is a much, much larger cost than people think. And it becomes like when you have a card that's so narrow in your limited deck, it just is not the same. Like in a constructed deck, it's a different thing because constructed is so much more about like really leaning into what the deck does or the advantages that the deck has. Limited is so much more about general value. Like it's not always about that. There are definitely types, there's mid-range limited decks, there's aggressive limited decks. That has changed from like the limited in the past was like all value. It was just like value town, like it was literally like that's all you had to be worried about because the cards were not of a quality that they could like form enough of a cohesive deck to matter for like tempo and that kind of stuff. It just didn't matter that much. But these days it does. But even in this environment, playing a card like that that's so narrow just has a much, much larger cost than people think in the aggregate. Again, not saying there won't be times when you have that in your hand and you're like, my goodness, this is exactly what I need right now.
Of course, which is the case for many bad cards in the history of Magic.
Exactly, yes. But the problem is that all the times that you have it in your hand and it's really bad, those also show up on the win rate.
Well, Rob's not here to defend himself, so this is a little unfair.
Yeah, it is,
but I just want
unfair.
you to speak to the comments that people were making.
Yeah, sure.
In defense of it. Okay, so interesting. The C or lower, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or C or higher. C or higher.
C or higher, excuse me.
C minus or lower
We'll
is the.
see.
We'll see
what happens. Everyone, how was your pre-release? Let us know in the comments or over on our Discord. We'd love to know.
Hey everyone, we have some great sponsors like Card Kingdom, cardkingdom.com/GLHF, the place to go for all of your magical needs. Are you looking for some Secrets of Strixhaven sealed product? Go get it there. Are you looking for individual cards like I'm going to be looking for individual mystical archive cards? Go to Card Kingdom. You can get them and they will ship it to you all in one package straight to your door, fast as the wind.
And if you did your pre-release and you have some draft chaff or some sealed chaff that you're not interested in, you can turn those pre-release pulls into treasure over at Card Kingdom because you get a 30% extra credit bonus for trading in Secrets of Strixhaven cards.
Take non-mystical archive cards and turn them into mystical archive cards. And cardkingdom.com/GLHF.
They'll also buy your sealed product and also your entire collection. If you're just like, I want to get this thing out of my house and start from scratch, but also just keep listening to our podcast. You know what I mean?
If you want to get rid of all your stuff, but keep listening so that you can listen
You want
more.
to completely surgically remove magic from your life, but keep this one little pustule of our podcast.
Pustule.
Well, I don't know what if you're. It's like I'm thinking of it as a tumor metaphor. All of magic is a tumor, but they're leaving. But they're leaving one little piece of the tumor in, and that's our podcast.
Cardkingdom.com/GLHF.
We also want to say thank you to Dragon Shield. Check out Dragon Shield by looking at the link underneath this video or in the show notes to get the best sleeves you can to protect your cards, protect your investment, protect your pustules, if you will. Over at Dragon Shield.
They've got some amazing colors. They have this color, eucalyptus. So good. It's like this beautiful, like,
sounds
very
delicious.
pale, like minty kind of green.
I might
They have
need
this
some
peach
vegetables.
color. One of my opponents at the pre-release was playing with like some really great pink Dragon Shields.
Oh, love that.
And they were like, I always kind of try to metagame and pick a color that someone else that I'm playing won't have. And Dragon Shield, so many colors.
There's so many colors.
You can do that.
Yeah.
That way, if your stuff gets like if they exile stuff or if they take control of something,
It's
when you're
easy to
handing
tell
them
the
back,
difference. True, yes.
you're not going to accidentally have someone else walk away with your card.
And make sure you check out Card Kingdom's booth, Dragon Shield's booth at MagicCon Vegas. I have a little birdie telling me that Dragon Shield might be unveiling something very cool and new at MagicCon Vegas as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that coming up. And just go check them out. There'll be some Good Luck High Five stickers at the Card Kingdom booth as well if you don't catch us at our meet and greet. So we love both of our sponsors. Thank you to them so very much, as always. Hey listeners, thanks for hanging out with us here on episode 691. What a true delight it was just to be so stoked for a release.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe is that something special in this day and age? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Okay, I will say though, look, I'm going to mention one thing briefly, which is that I did go online and play a Turtles draft this morning.
Well, the Turtles draft is
I'm going to miss
good.
it.
Yeah,
It is good.
same.
But I wasn't excited for that pre-release, and it was really nice to go to a Secrets of Strixhaven
That you
pre-release
were
and be
Yeah,
very
just be
excited.
like, oh, this is
Just have a great
100% magic.
It was packed.
Yeah, it was. It was sold
very
out.
good.
Yeah.
Very
There was like
good.
100 people there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was- yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good
Excellent.
stuff.
And as you said, Maria, I mean, you were lukewarm on the set.
Yeah,
you know,
I was.
until you saw some of
Yes.
the cards start getting revealed. So you are the perfect test case for how good design can actually turn someone's like negative. I won't call them prejudices, but
Well,
whatever it was that you
yeah,
had
I'll
against
call it
Strixhaven.
that.
Yeah, okay. Megan's gonna call it a prejudice. Your prejudice against schools.
Yeah.
They can turn that around with good design.
That
so.
is absolutely true.
Very
yes.
true.
And turn
That's
it
a great
into
point.
dollars from my wallet. You know what I mean?
the ultimate,
ultimate-
form of praise.
Goal here for this company.
Producers, stick around. We got more show for you.
Thanks once again to Card Kingdom during
Oh,
the
yes.
show. And if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Thank
And come
you to
see us
our
Friday.
team patrons. Come see us Friday, 5 p.m. We'll be there.
All right, now patrons
Now
stick around.
patrons stick around.